Welcome to the Camera Dude Podcast, where we focus our lens on business. We will cover the art of business and everything in between. Join your host, Rob Moorman, a seasoned photographer and RV park owner with over 27 years of experience, as he captures insights from industry experts and fellow entrepreneurs. From mastering customer service to igniting creativity, we explore the common threads that weave through successful businesses. Get ready to click, snap, and discover on the Camera Dude Podcast.
All right, welcome to the Camera Dude Podcast. I'm Rob Moorman, your Camera Dude and host. Join us today as we dive into all things business and life, so let's get started. Today's guest, gang, is someone that has built a phenomenal business. He's set himself up to win in business and all his many endeavors. Please welcome Mike Harting.
Rob, thanks very much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here today. So let me start by telling you where we came from. I was born at Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, D.C. My dad was in the military. We ended up down here in 1977. And my parents kept the house. We moved away a couple times, and we came back when I was in high school. So I have been in St. Pete since high school to 55 years of age, and I have a pretty good idea of what the city looked like as it grew through to what it is today. I left for a little while to go to college. Went to West Point for a little while. Decided that wasn't my gig, so I transferred to University of Florida. And got a BA, and then I started working in the restaurant business, and been in the restaurant business really ever since until most recent. I work for those of us that are a little bit more silver haired. I worked at Steak and Ale for about, I think it was about 6 years, and then I worked at Outback Steakhouse for 14.
Can I just say I loved the salad bar at Steak and Ale?
Yeah.
Perspective
is a funny thing. I didn't like it very much.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I would go there all the time just for that salad bar.
Yeah, that was a big part of what we did back then.
Well, tell us more.
So, all right. So I went to Outback. I got a chance to run the original Outback, and I built most of the restaurants in the southwest part of the state. So I had all the restaurants from here down to Key West and out to the middle of the state.
Excellent. So when you say you built them, were you opening them, starting them from scratch, seeing them from groundbreaking day?
Yeah, we would
to full operation.
Yep, I found the sites. Outback was new and thin back then, so I had some real opportunity to learn on the fly, and so I found the sites. We built the restaurants. We put managing partners in there, and then they became part of my territory. So at one point in time, I think we had 18 restaurants. And I think I had accomplished all I needed to accomplish. My beautiful wife said, "Man, maybe it's time to do something on your own." So we left in 2009, 2008, and I joined with a couple of gentlemen that had opened a restaurant on Central Avenue called Bella Brava.
Mm-hmm.
And we bought into the restaurant. We moved it down to Beach Drive, and that lasted. We did very well. 4 years later is when we really started making beer, and the idea of a brewery took off. And so we built the brewery in 2013. We sold our holdings in Bella Brava, and it's been Three Daughters Brewing ever since.
I love it. So we're going to mention it again, but what's the website?
It is threedaughtersbrewing.com.
Simple. Okay, very good.
Along the way of Steak and Ale and Outback and Three Daughters Brewing, I met my lovely wife. We met in Jacksonville at a Steak and Ale. We've been married 23 years, and the girls are, I always get this wrong, they're 22, 20, and just turned 16 now.
And those are the three daughters, obviously.
Those are the three daughters.
Brewing. I love it. Can I say something? Because we are about a business podcast, and you obviously have nailed it. It sounds to me that positioning yourself, you started with Outback, you learned on the fly, as you said, and it prepared you. To me, that's kind of the boot camp that you had in order for you to be at Bella Brava, and now Three Daughters Brewing. Which how many years have you been in business there?
It's this is year number 11.
Okay.
Year number 12.
12. Okay. Very good. So you've been in business a long time, but wouldn't you agree that working for Outback and getting that set up and understanding the restaurant/hospitality industry is where...
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and I'm sure we'll get into it, I think that being an entrepreneur is a spirit. I think I think it is something that is inherent in certain people, but you need a skill. You need, whichever direction you're going to go in, you need to have the basic skill in order to do that.
You have to have a screw loose to do
Right.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you also, I've always said this on this podcast, that entrepreneurship, owning a business, it's not a career, it's a lifestyle.
Oh, completely
It is
agree.
every part of your life all day. You wake up in the morning, you think about your family as equally as much, but your business is another arm of your family.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I find that there's many that maybe don't understand that, and so they don't know how to take it to the next level. And you have to make it you. It just has to become you. So I love that. So are you a grandfather yet or anything?
No.
Okay.
The oldest graduates this semester with a degree in elementary special education. So
Oh, cool.
I don't think we're that far off,
No.
but we're a couple of years.
You're getting there. All right. I figured there'd be a bunch of guys, running around
Right.
all the time, chasing your daughters, and you're, inside polishing your guns or whatever. No, just kidding. Well, that's awesome. Tell us this, then. You told us a little bit about where you started to get into hospitality. What was your first job ever? I mean, go way back. What
Sure.
did you do?
Harvey's Bar and Grill on 4th Street.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
For those of you that know it, Harvey's has been around since 1985, and I got a job with Dan in 1986, I think. So that I share the same as most people. My dad said, "You're going to turn 16. You're really going to want a car. You should get a job." So I mowed a few lawns on the weekends. I worked at Harvey's at night, and then I worked for the city of St. Pete during the day as a camp counselor at Roberts Community Center.
Oh, very cool. And right there, all the things you were committed to also shows the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Because you locked in, you mowed lawns, you worked a couple of other places, all to get what you wanted and buy a car. And you saw value in that, I would imagine, and then began to grow as an entrepreneur. I think that
Absolutely.
was the biggest thing. That's awesome. I've had other folks on here that were quite successful or are quite successful, and they started maybe at a McDonald's or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I love to hear that. So mowing lawns. Did you learn anything about customer service mowing lawns?
I don't know where this started to set in, and it probably was mowing lawns. It was probably more getting the lawn or getting the account than it was keeping the account. But I learned that the hospitality industry. I'll sum it up this way: you can give people, and I know this factually, and I promise that this is true. You can give people phenomenal service and mediocre food, and they will come back tomorrow. You can give people phenomenal food and mediocre service, and they will not come back. This is a service game. This is about how people are treated, and we've seen that work in the restaurant business. And I think that somewhere along the way, I started to understand that the product is important, the relationship is more important.
I love it. That is so on point. And in the hospitality industry especially, to my listeners, they know, unless they're new, that not only do I have a professional photography studio, but I own an RV park, which is hospitality oriented. And if the service isn't right, they do not come back. But if it's right, these snowbirds come back year in and year out repetitively. And not only do they come back, they bring people with them that all spend money at your business and really make it come through. So I love that you said that. That's incredible. Let's see. So you work with your wife, as I do.
Yes.
And so my spouse and I work. Our offices are far away from each other at opposite ends of the building. And during the workday, we text each other work questions so that we don't get in each other's hair. Tell us about that, because I think, two working together and also running a household and a home and a business. As we said earlier, your business is part of the family.
Yep.
So how has it been working with your spouse? I mean, share what you want, but I know it's not
it's
always easy.
It has been awesome. My wife Lee has a core competency that really got us off the ground. We figured out how to make pretty good beer. We didn't figure out how to sell pretty good beer, and my wife's background is marketing and sales. And so she came in, and not only did she go out and take this part of the business, the marketing part of what do we look like, and the sales part of how do we interact with beer distributors and with retailers, and built and built the foundation of what the company emerged into. So she and I were together for she and I worked together for, this was about 6 years. And once the company really got up and running, and it was phenomenal. It's been phenomenal. But my wife has other passions. So today she's a guardian ad litem, which
Awesome.
is a volunteer position and an absolutely incredible role. And she works with a charity foundation that does almost the same thing. So the success that she built in our company allowed her to go out and really work on passion projects.
I love it. That's fantastic to hear, actually. And let her know that Moorman Photographics has a philanthropic side. So if they're doing fundraisers at the charity, let me know. We'll come out. We photograph them. We also donate photo sessions and whatever
That's awesome,
to
Rob.
auctions. Yeah. So you tell her. I've worked side by side with her when we were photographing some of your product.
Yeah.
A while back.
Absolutely.
And got to see how she worked and what she, was like and the things that she knew. I'm the same. I feel like I've married up. And
Yep, 100%.
My wife has creative skills. So when we first met, she was doing graphic design for a company. Gosh, I'm going to lose the name of it, but they would design ads, but they would hang them on windows with window tint.
Right.
So remember that place on 19 farther south? They also tinted cars and things. Anyhow, she became chief artist there. And so I was running my little studio fresh out of school, frustrated, one man trying to do chief cook and bottle washer and not growing and trying to figure it out. And she had gotten a little frustrated at work, and I said, hey, come on over. And I didn't really mean for it to be for 21 years, but it has been. She has the
You
gift.
lucked out.
Yeah, she has the gift of administration, but she's also extremely creative and does all the Photoshop and editing and so on. And then, like this podcast, I'm the big mouth of the business.
Right.
So I'm the one that's the face in the networking meetings and all that stuff. So tell me this, for our listeners, I get a lot of new business owners, people that are trying to get things off the ground. What advice do you have for someone trying to start in business? Basically from the beginning, you've told us where you started, but what advice do you have to line yourself up?
The biggest advice I could offer is to do it. I find folks that have the entrepreneurial spirit or want to get into being entrepreneurs interesting in this regard. And Rob, I'm sure you will attest to this. There are folks who I know who are smarter than me, who have better access to resources than me, who have more capital than me, that have an idea that's probably better than mine, but they haven't done it. And at some point in time, you just have to do it. And that has been my advice for years. It is what separates true entrepreneurs to me is that you went to the deep end of the pool, and you were confident in yourself, and you knew your whatever you were going to get into, and you dove in. At some point in time, you just have to do it. And that is truly to me the part that separates entrepreneurs. It is the scariest thing you'll ever do. And we're not talking about building the next Microsoft. We're talking about buying a hot dog cart.
Yeah.
And just going out on the corner and selling hot dogs. But truthfully, my best advice is just to do it. You can spend the next year or the next 50 years planning on what it's going to look like. You just got to start.
I love that. And so, go to the deep end and don't just jump in, do a cannonball, get in there and go for it. I have, I've talked about it before on this side. I have a little ADHD, but I'm also a very forward moving person. And so I have a tendency to jump in with both feet before I have all my plans together. But I find the tortoise and the hare kind of a story in that the guy that maybe struggles a little bit to do this, but he's actually, or she is actually doing it. And that's the difference. I'll see an artist who's put out a piece of art and it's very successful and they sold it for 20, 30,000 or whatever. And there's another artist who's as equally as good, but all their art pieces are sitting in their garage because they didn't just do it. They didn't jump in with both feet. So I love that analogy that you gave. That's incredible.
I'll give you one other, and this
Please.
This applies more to the beginning. Hopefully, applies more to the beginning. And it comes in two parts. One is learn how to fail and embrace failure. That is how you learn and how things get developed. And the second part of that is to fail quickly. So the idea of starting your own business and having a runaway hit right off the bat is never going to happen. It's not. There are lessons to be learned, and I think one of the things that step one is to jump in the pool. That is the beginning definition of an entrepreneur. But the I think second on the list would be the tenacity and the grit to understand that failure is absolutely 100% part of this journey, and you need to learn to embrace it and to learn from it and to pivot from it. In what we do for a living at the brewery, it's easy and it's not expensive, but we make flavors all the time that we put out in the market and we think it's phenomenal and no one buys it. Okay, great, not a problem. We understand that's not something that's going to work. Get it out of the market and put the next one in the market. And so in order for us to get to something that makes us money, we're going to fail. In our business, we're going to fail somewhere between 10 and 15 times. Okay, that's part of this soup. Understand that failure is, and this applies to entrepreneurs more than anyone else that I know of. Understand that failure is part of this game, and learn to embrace it and learn to celebrate it, because you learn something. You got a little bit better at your trade.
I love that you said that. We haven't hit on that since I started this podcast. And so to hear you say that is important to me, because there's so many people that'll fail and maybe feel so bad about it that they go run and hide and not try again. The idea, as you said, is to take that failure as a lesson and get mad about it, but use that anger as like, why did that happen? To move forward, not to run backwards. Get mad and play the game harder. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Not to be a sports person, but that's
kind
of the way I look at it. I love that. So there's something else that I see at your place whenever I drive by, if I'm in town or whatever down there working, and I'm always driving around going to a photo session somewhere. Your parking lot is packed. And if I go there, which I have, we'll see a lot of times the same people. Not everyone the same, but if you go on a Friday night, there's a crowd that comes. What are you doing as a business owner, if you don't mind me asking? I think it's important. Let me back up a minute. I've found at my studio, the best client to get is one that you already have. Obviously, you're putting fuel on the fire and adding new clients, putting another piece of wood on the fire. But the ones that you've already gained, you're nurturing them, entertaining them, keeping them there. Consistency, quality, service. I reach out to them first when I do my marketing, and then second to those that maybe don't know who we are yet. What are you guys doing to hold them?
All right, so you've given me an opportunity to be a broken record.
I love it.
The brewery is interesting in that it makes all of its own product. So it's unique in that we'll make things that are very out there. We'll make a beer with peanut butter. You're never going to drink a beer with peanut butter at a restaurant or pick it up at Publix. But this is the venue you're in, so it feels like you should do things like that. That's not it. We put on live music, and I think we do a really good job. We have, I think, 6 shows a week now, and we've gotten better at finding bands and creating a space with live entertainment. That's not it either. We created this environment where it's I don't have a good term for it. It's human friendly. There are no TVs. The idea was that we want you to interact with whoever you're with. So there are games to play. The tables are actually games, and there are plenty of stand-up games, and that's not it either. And what it is, very simply, is back to the service. And so we set up a couple of rules with our I say rules. We set up a couple of criteria with the folks who interact with our guests in this part of our business. And that is, number one, be you. It's hard to try and be someone else if we set up rules that you have to say this and you have to do this. So use your personality so that you are comfortable. And then the other 2 things that we ask are very simple. It is, 1, never let anyone beat you to hello. And 2, say thank you twice. And that's it. That is absolutely it. Wow. And that is, I think, enough direction to empower your team to treat people like kings and queens. You'd be very surprised how important it is that I recognize you when you walk in the door. Just hello. That's it. That's absolutely it. And thank you is probably the most most powerful tool in the human bonding language. It makes you feel like I am paying very close attention to you, and I'm grateful for just your attention. So that's it. I mean, that's as simple as it. And so my answer to your question is that I think that service trumps all. And I do find it interesting that we do make all of our own stuff. That's kind of unique. You don't walk into a place that normally makes its own beer or cider or RTDs. But the compliment that we get most often by far is thank you very much for the service. So I think that's the answer to your question.
I love it. I appreciate that.
It relates to you as well, though.
Yes.
Your skill is top notch. There's no doubt about that. But there are lots of other people who take pictures.
Absolutely.
But when I told my wife where I was coming today, she said, "Please tell Rob I said hello. I miss talking to him."
Awesome.
Again, your ability and your skill is awesome, but my wife has a personal connection with you.
Yeah.
And it all came through photography.
It did. And tell her we said hello as well. It's the relationship.
Yes.
And that's what you're speaking about. So I love that. The recapping is you're passionate about the products you make and the process just because it's fascinating and you like it. But full round it isn't any one thing that, gets the repeat customers. We're so glad you're hanging out with us. Stick around. We'll be right back after this message.
For a truly unique experience, come hang out with us at Three Daughters Brewing. On weekends, we have live music twice a day. During the week, there's something going on at night every single night, and everything that comes out of a tap handle, we made ourselves. You can find us in St. Pete Clearwater Airport at Terminal Number 2, at the Circle on Clearwater Beach, or at 222 22nd Street South in St. Pete, 2 blocks west of where the Rays play baseball. For more details, you can find us on the web at threedaughtersbrewing.com.
And we are back. Thanks for waiting for us. We're glad to have you here. Let's jump in. So the idea is that there's a million little things that are taking place consistently on a regular basis that are drawing people in time and time again. And the fact that you said always be the first to say hello and say thank you twice, I'm going to get a T-shirt that says that. I love that. You should have a Three Daughters Brewing T-shirt and have that on the back.
Right.
Because that's phenomenal. It could be the title of a book, actually. I'm pushing you to maybe do that.
I want to retire one day.
That's good. So I want to talk about something else. And the idea would be that, well, you're not allowed to retire because you have too cool of a place. People tell me that on a regular basis as well. You. Yeah. I'm involved in Professional Photographers of America, PPA.com for my listeners. It is the largest, oldest running, largest and longest standing photography association in the world, and I'm blessed to be a part of that. And then there's a local guild, the Florida Professional Photographers, and then one that meets in Tampa area professional photographers. They're all related. I went to school to be a photographer, blah, 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 and did all that. But my real education came from all the seminars, working with photographers when I was new, assisting and learning with masters that have been doing it forever. But these associations have allowed me to mold and shape my business as the world around me changes, and actually as I change. And in photography, I find that my clients match the age that I am as I move through. And if I hadn't morphed my business into what it is today, as I've aged, I'm not around people with newborn kids, and they tell their people, and you work for all these folks. I've changed. So now we're doing corporate headshots, parties, events, product photography, and sometimes Three Daughter Brewing beer cans. So, but anyhow, tell us, are you involved in anything like that in the community that you're in for brewers?
Yeah, absolutely. So we, in our industry, remember our industry is really relatively new. There were, in 2010, there were probably 600 or 800 breweries nationwide, and today there are, at last count, probably 13,000. So the industry itself is relatively young. There's for us there's a national agency or national guild, and then each state has its own. And I belong to both. I was the president of the Florida Brewers Guild for 3 years, and now we just belong to both. And to your point, there's tremendous value. I think that once you start this, once you head down this path, you find your level of success, and you find your groove, and you tend to get a bit siloed. So working with groups like the Florida Brewers Guild and the Nationwide Guild, you get a chance to see things that you might not that you might not see in your own four walls. And so we use the hops we use. We're familiar with others, and we use them for specialty things, but there are new hops designed every year, and this is where we learn about them. I would imagine in your business, you end up seeing a guy, and he's just got this thing on a camera that's not related to the photography, but it makes it easier. You're like, that's simple. I should have that.
Yep.
And we do the same thing. We look for ideas to become more efficient. We look for ideas to increase or to decrease the time in the process. We look for third-party companies that provide services that we're not aware of. And so for us, every year we'll go to the national show to look for whatever is new and different.
Awesome. And that's the same that we do. It's equipment and tech, but it's more than that. It's marketing, sales. What is today's client looking for? How to market today's client. They're different than a client 2 years ago. The way we think, the next generation, and the way where are they? Where do they hang out online? Where do they hang out in person? And how do we reach them? And then, of course, style, photographic style as well. But back to it, I always felt that in the beginning I was alone. And then I found these associations, and I ended up developing a family of photographers that I know, like, and trust. We help each other. If somebody gets sick, I pack up my bags and I'm heading over to cover a job for them because they were, hospital or whatever, and vice versa. It's happened for me. And it's that family of support, knowing that if something goes down, I've got a team of people behind me. And sure, we're competitors, but I always feel that when we get together in one place, when we all win, everybody wins, including the client, because there's better quality product going on and we're educated rather than compete with each other. If a brewery opened down the street from you, okay, it's competition, but at the same token, I'm sure you would communicate with them and talk and see what you can do to help them get off the ground. You're already running.
Yeah.
And I do the same. You're opening a studio down the street. All right, give me a paintbrush. I'll help you get set up. Let's do what we got to do. So I love that. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, because so many people are only involved maybe in an impersonal way online, and there's all kinds of photography forums and Facebook pages and whatever, but they're not in depth.
Nothing beats human contact.
Yeah, and I wouldn't hire that person to come out online if I haven't met them.
Right.
I'm not going to put them in front of my clients because I don't know. You don't know until you know. So that's the big key. That's awesome. So you're still attending? They hold conventions every year?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's one coming up in March that we'll head off to.
Awesome.
But there's always just one good idea. Always.
You can't implement all that you learn. You can have fun while you're there with like-minded people and pick up 3, maybe 5 things that you're going to implement when you get back over the year. And then when you get there the next year to the convention again, you got to start over. So that's pretty cool. Well, here's something unique and on a different path. Of course, with the help of my vote and many, many others, you ended up on the St. Petersburg City Council. Tell us a little bit about that. What's motivated you and why? As a native St. Petersburger, and you've been there so long, you're native too.
Sure.
And, you were born and raised there, so it's your world. It's a wonderful city. We both love it equally and have planted ourselves here. And so, tell us why are you this involved at this level?
Sure. I have talked about this with my wife for years. And truthfully, all of this came from a plane ride I had with a gentleman named Chris Sullivan, who is the founder of Outback Steakhouse. And he explained to me that in your 30s, and this applies to we were talking about entrepreneurs, but in your 30s, you don't know anything about anything, and your job is to carry heavy things. In your 40s, you learn your trade. In your 50s, you apply your trade and you make money. And in your 60s, you give back what a community was kind enough to allow you to achieve in your 50s. And for me, that happened a little bit sooner. An opportunity presented itself. And I thought this was the way that I would end my career. But again, the opportunity presented itself due to some circumstances that came together. And I'd been talking about it. My wife said, listen, just do it. I mean, and back to the entrepreneur part. And that was in February of this year. And so I waited a month just to kind of learn about how campaigns work. And then we jumped in. And that's really the end of it. But I think at this stage of my life and what we've done with the business and the way that we have approached learning, I think I have something to offer. And so that's what it's about. It is the community, especially St. Pete. We deliver all over the state, but especially St. Pete has offered my family a tremendous life. My kids will never need. They're going to want a lot, but they will never need. And you owe something for that. You owe something for the community supporting you and allowing you to fail through how does a business really run, and then achieving a level of success. And now I understand how business works. And government, financially at least, government doesn't work that much different. But I've gained some wisdom over the years on how to run a company, and so I thought I would apply that. That's really it.
I love it. Well, that's it. You've said everything. We could close up shop now and go home.
Sure.
That was a book in and of itself. We've always been giving back to the community that we're in, and I think it's vital, first of all. I gave back before I had anything to give. I just gave up my time. And then later, as a business owner, trying to raise up other photographers in the industry from our local guild and giving back to charities throughout the community. And all of that is, I think, vital and has made, first of all, as a business owner, myself and my wife Tina's lives more fulfilling. The relationships we have with those charities, they run deep. These people are in our life all the time. And we love our business and our clients so much that they're part of us at this point. They run deep in our lives.
Yep,
When
agree.
our clients hurt, I hurt with them. And I know you're the same. And when they're successful, we cheer them on the sidelines, which is why I've asked you here, because you're successful. And so that's a good thing. There's something we forgot to mention, and then we'll jump into this. This is just a side note, way off path. But I went to high school with my wife. You guys were a year apart? Is that right?
Yes, 2 years apart.
Okay. And you don't have any good, meaty stories of high school about my wife? Come on, fill me in.
No, she's a saint, an absolute saint.
Good. See there? She paid you, didn't she, before this? I know she did. Darn it. Now, actually, Tina was kind of quiet. And still is, actually, but because she's hung around with my loud mouth, she's changed quite a bit over the years. So that's fun. Well, that's awesome. Well, look, we have some questions that I like to throw out at the end of the podcast. They're fun. Have fun with this. Have you ever watched the Inside the Actors Studio?
Oh, yeah.
James Lipton?
Yes, I have. Yep.
These are the questions that were created by Bernard Pivot, if I pronounced his name properly. But James kind of, for me, popularized them, and I'm using them. I took out one because you have to cuss. And so I decided, I'll keep this a clean show, but it's kind of fun. All right, so let's jump in. Take your time. You can ad-lib or just be very quick. What's your favorite word?
Yes.
I love it.
That's it. That is truthfully it. It is the most positive word that I know.
That's awesome. It's a word that means there's a future. When someone says yes, it opens so many doors. Yeah, I love that. What's your least favorite?
No. And I realize that that's a little bit boring, but if you're, as it relates to the hospitality industry, if you want success, you can very simply just live this phrase. The answer is yes. What is the question? And so I don't enjoy the word no. I understand that it is relevant. I understand that there are times where it needs to guide events, but yes is the most exciting thing that you could ever say to a human being. And so no has to be the end of that, or has to be the opposite of that.
I love it. It's yin and yang, light and dark. I love that. All right, what turns you on in life?
Success. And all right, I had to think about that. And success is it is how you choose to define success. We mostly look at it and we think, well, I made $1 million, or I got promoted to president, or I won the championship game. But I don't look at it that way. My kids are healthy. I won. I'm done.
I love that.
I can go home. I had a phenomenal day today hanging out with you. that's success. And so I think that it's not just it's not that it turns me on. It's the way that mentors throughout my life have helped me define what success really is.
I love that. And success is a journey. And when you get there, it's not about getting to the top and staying on the top, I found out. And besides that, there really is no top. When you're in business, there's always somebody, I've said it 100 times on this podcast, nipping at your heels, trying to do what you do and do it better. So you have to stay on your toes the whole time. But it's the journey that you mentioned, and really the success is when your family is content and everybody's happy and you have that nucleus in your life happening. That's true success. That's fulfilling. And I would think the journey is a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As it relates to business, you have the opportunity to promote someone from within, or you have the opportunity to pay someone more money inside your organization because they have worked so hard on creating more value. Those are just absolutely, like, you can't not get jazzed about that.
It's the pinnacle of being in business when you see somebody shining, and it's not just. It's always confused out there by folks. It's not just to benefit the company and the owner. It's you're helping that person grow in their life. You started somewhere and then moved to where you're at. They're starting with you. They may finish there, but they also may move on and do great things. And you invested in their life, and you got to, I don't want to use the word award because they earned it, but give them that extra whatever it was that they earned in a sense.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool. All right, we've done this part, but we'll do it again. What sound or noise do you dislike?
That's a
strange question, I know.
Yeah, I was thinking about the other side of that.
Sorry.
I was thinking about what sound do I not like? The funny enough, probably it's the sound that your car makes when your seatbelt's not on.
I love it. My father.
I can't come up with anything serious
enough. No, that's
enough.
great. My father would get in the car when cars started getting advanced and having all of these things. He was funny, and he would just start cussing out the bureaucrats, whoever they are. These bureaucrats and ding ding, and
Sure.
he'd find ways to. Back before cars were as hard to work on as they are now, he'd go under there and unhook all that stuff and carry on. So I understand. So what noise or light do you love?
Okay. As it relates to business, and it is specific to what we do for a living, when we are fermenting beer, there is when yeast are eating, when yeast are doing what yeast do very well, they off-gas. They eat sugar, and they create alcohol and CO2. The alcohol is in liquid form, the CO2 is in gas form, and that gas bubbles out of that tank. And it makes a bubbling noise.
Cool.
And that eventually becomes frothy, and it makes a really like when you pour a soda into a glass and it effervesces. And when I'm walking through the production facility and I hear that noise, I know that everything's okay.
That's awesome.
That is the only way that we make money. If you don't hear that noise, we ain't making money. But if you hear that noise, we're doing well.
Okay, that's excellent. Well, and it's a sign of success in the process.
Right.
What it really is.
So it's a hearing yeast ferment is like a warm blanket to me.
It's the only person on my podcast that has said the sound of gas is exciting. Just so you know. Sorry, had to throw in the pun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, what a profession other than the one you're in, obviously, would you have liked to have tried?
I would have liked to have worked in an emergency room.
Fascinating.
Love it.
Okay.
Absolutely love it.
Okay.
If there is one thing that I miss about the restaurant business, about the operations part, is working in the kitchen on a Friday night.
Pressure.
When it is, and it's all just, it's 2 hours feels like 5 minutes. Yeah. It just rocks on by, and I think that working in a restaurant on a busy Friday night and working in combat and working in an emergency room on a Friday night are the same thing. The restaurant part doesn't matter. It's easy. The other two are amazingly complicated and much more serious. But I always wanted to work in an ER on a Friday night.
You're a pressure junkie like I am.
I like it.
I do too. Before I ask the last question here, I worked in the motion picture industry for 10 years, traveled all over the state of Florida. I had an apartment in Orlando, one in St. Pete. I frequented Miami regularly. When you're in production for a TV commercial or a film, usually, and these are numbers from the 90s, you were spending $150,000 every 20 to 30 minutes, and you're filming for a week. Yeah, and time is money, and the pressure is on, and airplanes are late, and actors aren't making it on time, and I ate it up. I was just at home in that kind of chaos and pressure and desire to make things work, and loved it. I did finally get out and switch to photography because there was a point where I wasn't home for 3 months solid. I had this huge bag of dirty laundry, no time to wash it. I just go into whatever store and start buying clothes.
Right.
So
I'm familiar.
I got out of that, but I did love the pressure and still do. So what profession would you not like to do?
All right. That's an interesting question. So one of the things that I thoroughly enjoy about what I do is we just make people happy. That's our sole job. That's it. That's literally it. So I would have to think about, there are folks that I admire for the jobs they do. I wouldn't want to do them.
Well, okay. Who do you admire?
There is a lady who lived across the street from us. Her name is Suzanne Gaskins. She told me the most amazing story that I have ever heard. Life is incredible when given perspective. She worked at All Children's Hospital as a nurse. She traveled around and worked in different departments, which I guess was the way that nursing works. And she ended up working in their end of life unit, and she stayed, which doesn't make sense. Then every once in a while, I would catch her in a moment of solace. And I asked her one day, "Why do you do this? This is probably one of the hardest things a human being could do." She said to me something that I've been thinking about for the past 15 years. She said, "These kids have a very finite amount of time on this planet, and the single best thing that could ever happen to them is to be with me." That's way beyond. I couldn't do it. I'm not built like that. I'm not an angel. I just run a business. So I think about things like that. I am glad that whoever or whatever built people to do things that I am not capable of, and I admire that lady tremendously.
That's mind-blowing. I'm glad you shared that. And it is perspective, because we'll get running in life and, well, I need this, I need that, and there's people that are struggling that have nothing, or at the end of life, whether they're young or old or whatever. And so what you just said was mind-blowing, and that point is there. I had the opportunity to work with a group called Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. It's a photography-oriented nonprofit, and whenever there's a parent that's had a child that maybe was brand new, birthed, and something's wrong and they're not going to make it. So if you're a member of this, I start crying thinking about it. I'm going to now. They call a photographer in that area. You run out and you do these sessions with this family, with this child. Sometimes by the time you get there, they're not here anymore. It's all very recent. And you're doing these beautiful photos. At first, I thought, who wants to see that? But then I realized the healing part of it that it brought to that family.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I did that a few times, but that was the hardest thing I've ever done. I mean, I'm bawling my eyes out. I love kids. I love families. We couldn't have kids. God has a joke because I photograph over 4,000 school kids a year now.
And you have a few.
Yeah, and we watch them all grow up. So they all grow on because they start at preschool, at least through 8th grade with our studio, and you get to know them over time.
Absolutely.
So that's cool. Well, Mike, tell everybody again, even though we've mentioned it, whatever it is you're doing over and above, how can they find you? Your business, your hobby, city council, all of that.
Thank you very much. The company is Three Daughters Brewing. And we have about 4,500 accounts, maybe 5,000 accounts now around the state. So you can find us in Publix, Winn-Dixie, Total Wine, lots of restaurants and bars. You can find us at Disney World, or you can find one of our tasting rooms in St. Pete Airport, St. Pete Clearwater Airport, out on the beach in Clearwater Beach, and downtown about 2 blocks from where the Rays play baseball. And or you can find us online at either 3dbrewing.com or 3daughtersbrewing.com.
Couldn't have said it better myself, obviously, because it's your world.
Thank you,
Thanks
Rob.
for doing that. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, listeners, we're glad you're here. I think that I could retire from podcasting because this was a pretty killer episode. We've got so many nuggets in business and wisdom. And Mike, I've gotten to know you better, and that's really what I like about podcasting. We're sitting across the table instead of over food, coffee, or beer. We're just chatting and sharing it with the world, and I love that. So thanks for that. You've got a good friend here. I'm not going anywhere. You can't lose me now. It's too late.
Right.
So awesome. Well, guys, thanks for listening, hanging out with us on the Camera Dude podcast. Remember, always reach out to those that have paved the way ahead of you for success. They are a great resource. Until the next one, stay safe, be peaceful, always look up for direction in life. Catch you on the next Camera Dude podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to the Camera Dude Podcast. Don't forget to visit us at cameradudepodcast.com for more episodes and exclusive content. Connect with Rob Moorman on moormanphoto.com to explore his professional photography. And when you're ready to hit the road, make memories at sunburstrvresort.com. Until next time, keep capturing moments and chasing dreams. See you on the next episode of the Camera Dude Podcast.